Hello, friends. Welcome back. We're trying to get back on track after the holidays.
Mhm.
It's your friends over here at Oh for Dying Out Loud. I'm one of your hosts, the Magical Life Midwife, Angie Cat. And
I am your other hostess, and I'm Laura Shaw, your delightful death doula.
there you go.
Okay.
And we decided this was actually a topic brought up by Laura. Can't believe I didn't think of it before. But, this podcast is not just about death and dying. I mean, that's a main thing, but it is about how death and dying can help shape us and we can create a life worth living
Right.
so that it's sacred. The transition is sacred, it's all sacred, right?
Yes.
We love our lives. And I think the topic of aging, particularly for women, we do not talk about it enough, Laura Shaw.
Mhm.
We do not.
We do not. That is
Uh,
true.
that's true. So I have lots of thoughts about it.
Me
Lots
too.
of thoughts.
Hmm.
Because I work as a health educator.
Yep.
Have done that coaching for 25 plus years and been doing a lot more research because I am in menopause
Hmm.
uh, right now. And so I'm wanting to learn more about it for myself personally, but also to be able to educate. And what is going on with my camera? It keeps floating in and out. Maybe I need to do this.
You
A
look
little
fine
better
today.
lighting or something. Okay. Okay, good. It keeps like adjusting, like you're blurry. It's wrinkles,
Right.
camera. It's just
Stop
wrinkles,
trying to blur out my wrinkles.
right? So I have some things to share, some topics I'd love to get your thoughts on. But do you have anything in particular you want to start off with?
Well, just for some familiar background, for those of you who don't know, I am a licensed esthetician. So skin and skincare, makeup, all of these things are literally one of the things I got educated in. I've kept my license up. I'm still licensed. Um, and so I have been long studied in the idea of anti-aging, how women can, and men, because it's not solely women. So I am in, like, I love this topic. And so anyone who meets me, I'm like, even when I started my classes in aesthetics, I don't wear makeup. I rarely wear makeup. I did the minimum amount of skincare when I started. I do much better skincare for myself, not for anti-aging necessarily. So when I started, be kind, but I am, in fact, I do have some education here. So also I've been in perimenopause and menopause since 29. So yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's good to know. I did not know this about you.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in this, although I'm going to just say right now, it's a little bit of a trigger for me.
Yeah.
In the fact that so let me just start here. Okay, so I was starting to have hot flashes in my 30s
Mm-hmm.
and night sweats. Super not fun. But so about 2 years ago, I think it was, I went for my annual checkup and I had a medical procedure in my 40s. So I did not have the standard sign of when I would hit menopause. So I had to get my hormones tested in order to know for sure. So lo and behold, yep, your estrogen is bottomed out and you are in menopause. And I remembered thinking, that's it. That's it. That's all. And I was so mad. I was like, no, we need to create, like, according to like the pagan Wiccan tradition, there is a celebration when you become a crone because
Yes.
you have alchemized all of this wisdom. So short story, I decided, nope, I'm going to have a crone ceremony for me and all of my closest friends who've gone through it. And we had a beautiful time. I hope
It
you
was
had a beautiful time.
amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
It was great because I want to change the narrative around aging for women, um, because I think that's another reason why death and dying is such a taboo subject. People don't want to talk about it because our culture is anti-aging.
Mhm.
Our culture is stave it off as long as possible. Don't look like you're aging. And I call BS. I
Good
just
for
call,
you.
I'm just angry about this because it's this push-pull. Okay. Yes, I want my skin to look better. I would love to get rid of this freaking turkey neck that is starting to happen. And yet, and yet, I do not want to give into the culture of buy the potion, buy, inject the thing, do
Ugh,
everything to make sure that you don't age. I'm like, it's a natural process.
it is.
Menopause is a natural process.
Mhm.
It's this, okay, you can tell I'm passionate. I'm a little angry about it. There's a woman that I have discovered who she's a board certified OB-GYN um, expert in menopause. And she's got a website, she's got a little diet thing going on, but she's made it her mission to do menopause education. Love her for it. Her website is fabulous. And I've only just scratched the surface. Great information there. And she sells supplements and talks about skin serums and stuff like this. And I'm like, back the bus up, back the bus up.
Right.
What are we doing? What's the dual message here? So one of the main messages she has, and I get this, back in the day when HRT came out, hormone replacement therapy, there was a lot of scare because they thought the research had showed that, oh my God, if you have breast cancer risk in your family, this increases your breast cancer risk. So now the scientific community as a whole is walking this back now
Right.
because they're looking at the science, they're looking at the studies and going, this wasn't, you have to look at how this was conducted and what the percentages mean and everything. So they were like, for most women, hormone replacement therapy is safe to help you manage the symptoms,
Mhm.
night sweats, all of the stuff. And I get this, okay? I don't want to come off as sounding like I'm judging, because if that's what you need to do in order to survive, like if the hot flashes, if the night sweats, if all of the symptoms are just a major problem and HRT is for you, great. But, and maybe I should say, I still have this nagging feeling that it's just another way for us to tell women these things you're experiencing are bad. It's not natural. It's not normal. You should feel better. You should be better. So take everything you can in order to not experience this.
Right.
And I'm frustrated by that. Like I want to, like, women before HRT, what do? They went through it.
Yeah, we just lived through it.
We
Yeah.
managed it with,
Mhm.
yes, there were maybe some herbal supplements that we took, maybe it was, but I mean, menopause is a natural slowing down of your body and it should be embraced. And it feeds into the larger narrative. And I'll stop talking here in a minute, I promise. It feeds into the larger narrative of the medical community will help you to avoid feeling any discomfort
Mhm.
whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it has a purpose. It has a purpose. Hear me. But when it comes to a natural progression in your life, why do we have to alter that as well? I'm just
Right. So
anger.
um
Anger is a menopausal symptom. Okay,
it
just
is
want to let
it
our
is it's fine.
listenership know that.
So
Yeah,
anyone who spends any amount of time with me often knows, so like at work, my coworkers are so lovely. They actually bought me. I have fans, like
yeah,
handheld. I am a Southern Belle fans and I take them everywhere with me because
yeah.
I will break out in full body sweats. I do it any time of day, often. It doesn't matter. I am the hottest girl you ever have met.
You
Um,
are.
which,
She'll
thank
say
you,
that.
which I haven't always been,
Yeah,
but I definitely am now. And my doctor has talked about many things that, black cohosh, which I tried it. It's like, I mean, it didn't really change anything. But also at some point, I'm just going au natural. People are just going to have to live with me being a sweaty Betty. And this is just my life. Like, I sweat a lot. I sometimes leave
right.
butt prints when I stand up, and I have to slide out of the chair to make a butt print not stick. And
Just
that's
feel
fine.
yourself up without
That's just
bother,
me. Um,
right?
yeah, so I I understand a person if you are taking something from a doctor because the side effects, like you said, are so bad. Like some people, like I have learned to manage my hot flashes, let's call them, or my daily hourly sweats by I wear layers. I am almost always in a tank top, no matter what the temperature is.
Yeah,
I wear cotton. I wear more natural fibers because it allows my body to breathe a little better, and it kind of helps keep me a little cooler. So and I keep temperatures low everywhere I go. And so I've learned to manage mine in kind of a different way. But if yours is so outrageous that you can't sleep, or like I get that. Like there
yeah,
are
I do.
medications that you can
Right.
take to try to alleviate. But if you what you say is intriguing, because if the only reason we're taking them is because it's uncomfortable to be in a full body sweat in the middle of a meeting, which happens to me often,
Right.
there's something to be said that we just get to make that natural. Like it's normal. It's As a matter of fact, I meet many men in meetings who absolutely are, pit stained,
Oh,
sweaty, whatever, and no one
you
thinks
think
anything of,
so?
like I don't think anything of it. Who cares? Like whatever, they're
Yeah,
sweating. It's natural.
yeah,
Let's all calm down.
totally.
But
Yeah.
it is kind of a shame based, the same way that we view wrinkles, rolls. It's
Mhm.
very natural for women. This is just so everybody knows, this is your décolleté, and the from here to just your chest, right above your chest, yeah, that's your décolleté. And that is where people show aging, their hands and their décolleté. That's the quickest places where you'll show aging, because we're not putting serums on them, and we're not like those, we're not doing microderm or having Botox injected in them.
Yeah.
um and to some degree, like I get it why people maybe feel insecure maybe as they age, but I do wish that we allowed um our celebrities, our family members. Like, I think aging is beautiful. Every single wrinkle, fat roll, scar, whatever I have going on has a story. I earned them all with great company and great experiences and great food. And I definitely use vitamin C on my skin, and holy hydration. Thank you to my drag queen community, who I definitely love their tutorials. And while I'm not a makeup girl, but I love finding out what products they're using to help, because my skin is definitely drier than it used to be. Um,
Yeah.
but I just wish, I love it when we get to see an actress or a politician or somebody who is just letting it happen. Like, this hair
Right.
is my hair. This is the color of my hair. It gets curlier and rattier every day. It gets drier. And while I will put some things on it to try to give it a little moisture so it doesn't just break, I'm not spending my life coloring it to try to hide my age. I'm not trying, like, it's just such an honor, I think, to get old, and to be able to experience menopause, um and all the things that come along with the wisdom of being a crone, that I don't want to miss it. I don't want
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
like, not, like, I've definitely met those people who when they die, you're like, holy crap, I didn't know she was 75 or 85 or whatever, because they've just essentially preserved themselves their whole lives.
Right.
Um,
Pickle.
but what a thing to miss out on. Like, what a what, like, I feel privileged every day, because
Yeah.
there's so many people, like, I've lost in the last, I think in the last 7 to 10 days, 2 people that I have dated in the past who were in their they were early 50s have died. Just suddenly
Wow.
out of the blue, I happened to see them in the obituaries. I read them for work, not because I'm morbid. But yeah, and I'm just like, what an honor it is that I get to be here and I get to
Right.
represent this. But
Right.
also,
Oh, go ahead.
if if somebody else is looking for a partner who um is perfectly coiffed and shows no wrinkles, and like, then my question is, how inauthentic do you want them to be? Because my
Right.
authentic self has wrinkles, even if you can't see them because I put all the things.
Right.
I'm still a person of a certain age and a certain life
Yeah.
experience inside of my body.
Totally. Exactly. And by I think by embracing aging
Hmm.
in its entirety, two things. One, we are saying stick it to the culture of anti-aging, and I'm going to weed out the riffraff that only wants me to be a perfect
Right,
airbrushed Barbie.
right.
You know, and again, if you're doing it because you love doing it, like I still wear makeup, but
Yeah.
I don't wear foundation. I wear tinted moisturizer,
Yes, love
and
it.
which I love. But I do like to dress up and I do like to wear makeup, but I do it for me. I don't
Mhm.
do it because I'm worried about what somebody else is thinking.
Right,
That's my challenge. And again, we all the women have choices. I just want to make sure that or at least create a space for us to begin to or continue to embrace all the choices and
right.
to not tear down women because they are aging.
Hmm.
Helen Mirren,
Beautiful.
Judy Dench,
Hmm.
um,
Jamie Lee Curtis,
Kathy Bates. Oh, yes,
right?
absolutely. Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. Kathy Bates. I mean, these are some powerful women
Hmm.
who are aging. Andy McDowell, it was
Right.
news that she let her hair go gray. News.
Oh, right. As if we don't all know that people have gray hair.
Yeah,
How
it's
bizarre.
just, yeah. So, I mean, that's just sort of my thing is I want so as I'm going through all of this education for myself, I do want to take the stuff that is going to help me naturally because number one, I can't afford fillers. I can't afford, expensive skincare. I do not want to take a bunch of supplements if I don't have to. Um, so I just want personally, this is me personally, I want to make sure that I'm embracing my aging in a sacred way
Yeah.
because I know too many friends who struggle with it. They
Mhm.
struggle with the way that they look. They're you can see that they're getting more irritated, more depressed about the wrinkles and the dry skin and I don't want to age because then I'm going to miss out on XYZ and it's like no you're not and I don't want to create that kind of suffering for me.
Right.
I just don't. Like I look at Jane Fonda. Jane freaking Fonda. Now granted, she has some money, she's got some funds. And so, but she's very much about vitality, in her life.
Mhm.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, another great one in her 60s. I'm like, she talks about Jane Fonda talks about when you hit 60, that's your third act. And I love that because it's like, you're not done. We're not on the
Right.
downhill slide. There is so much more that we can do. We can affect change. We are powerful.
Yeah.
And so, and I think as we talk about death and dying, that's one of the biggest things, particularly for men and women, but mostly women, is this idea that how do we like it's almost like we've checked out of that third act. Like once you hit menopause or whatever, it's like you are invisible until you die.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want there's a richness in life. And maybe it's just it seems like they're invisible because they're not on social media because they don't give, you know what I mean? Like
Maybe.
they're like, you guys, whatever, we're happy with our lives. But I just want to, I think that's where the narrative begins to change. It's not just changing the narrative about death and dying. It's because the dying process, we're all in it right now, no
Right,
matter what
everybody.
age you're at, right? But to back it up further so that we can change the narrative around living
Hmm.
until our death.
Right,
And I don't mean preserving, I
right.
mean living. And my peace of mind is I want to feel good about myself. And the longer and the harder I work towards looking a certain way, I am only creating suffering for myself. That's been my experience. I mean, look, I'm like everybody else. I'm like, oh, there's all these lines and stuff, and depending on the photo angle, it's like, okay, that's it's a little turkey neck. but but I can honestly look in the mirror and go, yeah, I've got some cellulite, I've got some extra pounds, I've got some wrinkles. It's okay. Like, isn't this interesting?
Right.
Isn't it interesting?
Isn't this delightful? My 20-year-old self could not have imagined my 50-year-old self. Like,
No.
they're miles apart from each other in physicality, but also in uh spirituality, brain development. I'm just a completely different person than I was
Yeah.
all the way back then. Um,
Yeah.
I think it speaks to a fear. So a
Mm.
fear of maybe what we lose as we age. I know
Right.
my mom is a very little woman. You've met her.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
she was like 5'2" for a lot of her life. She's below 5 foot now. I call her a
Yeah.
little old lady, also a grumpy old lady. But so she's a
You
sassafras.
have a weird relationship with her. You can get away with doing that.
I do. I do have a strange relationship with my parents, which has been built upon years of uh general loathing of each other. I think they loathe me and I love
Not
them.
fine. She loves them. They
I
are
do. I
so
love them.
loving. It's
Uh,
just,
right. So so I come to this place where my mother has she's a pretty broken woman. She's lost inches because she's had so many replacements of knees and feet and like just whatever. She's kind of a broken human from years of physical jobs. But she's lovely. And my grandmother, her mother was also, she was wrinkly and she had beautiful white hair. And I remember my sister asked her how she always had such beautiful skin. And she said, I think she used olive, not olive oil, ol- Olay, oil of Olay. I think she said that
oh,
or she said Dove. I can't remember which one she said, but it
yes.
was like the most, like, this is what my grandmother did. And she didn't
Yeah.
fight aging, she aged. And
Yeah.
I just really believe that we have so much pressure on us to look a certain way, um, to do good or to get a promotion or to find the right spouse or partner. There's just all this pressure on
I'm
women
just
as a whole.
tired listening to that list. I'm just
Right.
tired. I'm exhausted. Like, this is why I think menopausal women are irritated
Right.
and grumpy, is because we're like, for the love, we have worked so hard.
Mhm.
Give us a break. We do
Right.
not need one more thing that we need to strive for, like our looks or the next thing. If you want to, great, but do it out of enjoyment,
Right.
not
If
out
it's
of
for
we've
you.
got to do this. Yeah,
Right. Because I have to look good on the outside for people to appreciate my inside
right.
wrappings.
Right. I don't
Um,
want people to know that I'm aging.
right. Which is, it's just a thing. Like I said, I am so honored to age. And I have
Mhm.
had the great pleasure of knowing some pretty amazing women. I love old people. I don't know if people know this about me. I love old people. My favorite job
Yeah.
I've ever had in my whole life was working in a nursing home with the grumpiest, crabbiest people you ever met because they brought me joy, and I hope I brought them some joy. And I just really enjoy old people. And I am happy that I get to become one of them and that I am. That's like my life goal is to become an old person. And I love that.
Yeah.
But also I've recognized that my life isn't over as I age. Like, okay, maybe I'm not a size 7 like I used to be. Maybe I can't run as fast as I used to. Lord help you if you see me running, run. Because I'm not a
Yeah,
runner.
you
I
can
don't do that. But I stay physically active. I was out shoveling the other day and snow blowing, full disclosure. I do yoga. Like I try to stay healthy. I try to take care of myself in a healthful way.
right.
And that's really my focus. If I do something, it is about how I feel when I do it and not about how someone else perceives me.
Right.
It's just 100%. But also I don't want my children, I have all girls. I don't want my children to grow up with this unrealistic expectation or to hate themselves. Like if
Right.
I constantly say that you have to be skinny to be loved, then that's what my children would believe. And instead I say you just have to be healthy. You're loved regardless. But I need you to be healthy for your kids, for yourself, like whatever that health level looks like for you.
Right.
But it is a probably quadrillion, billion, million, zillion dollar industry to keep, right? To
Mhm.
keep us hooked into this belief that we have to look the right way or we have to um be the right size or the right fit. The diet industry in and of itself is just this, like how many people, I mean, I've definitely been one of them who constantly looked for a way to stay thin because that's what they were always focused on. And I can tell you that I stopped focusing on being thin and I started focusing on what I ate and how I feel. And my numbers have never been better. I know it's a shock to everybody, but I'm actually pretty healthy. I'm overweight and I have bad lungs. But beyond those two things, like I'm in really pretty good health.
Yeah.
For a woman of my
That's
age.
a really, yeah, that's a really important distinction is,
Mhm.
and I think that's what people, I think we equate aging with um certainly the loss of ability, but the loss of value
Right.
as a human being. And
Mhm.
so let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the loss of function or health, right?
Right.
Like that's something we can do about, and you can absolutely, like, I'm so amazed at how many people in their 70s and 80s are still really active. They're
Right.
in better health shape than I am. And that's only because I have done, I know what I need to do. Um, but now at this stage in my life, I'm like, oh, I need to start paying attention to some of these things because of my bones. And I
Right.
don't want to get osteoarthritis and brittle bones and all this other stuff. So I think that yes, there's certainly, I can understand the fear of loss of function. And, my grandmother, God bless her, she had rheumatoid arthritis when she was in her 30s. And
Oh.
so it's painful to move.
Mhm.
And she lived a long life, but there were a lot of years where it was like, it's that whole idea of health span versus lifespan,
Right.
right? She
Right.
did not have a long health span. She had a long lifespan, and I don't blame her, but there were definitely things she could have done differently and things that I'm trying to pay attention of. And to your point, I actually love getting older because of what I've learned. Like I have friends who just every year just despondent over, "Oh, I'm getting older." And I'm like, I'm loving it because that means another year of knowledge, another year of learnings. Cause like I'm actually healthier now than I was when I was in my 20s and 30s, I think,
That.
on all levels,
Mhm.
physical, mental, spiritual, etc. But so here's what I've learned in my menopausal journey. So certainly hormone replacement therapy, that can be an option for
Okay.
women. Okay. That's great. You work that out with your doctor and know the reasons why you're on it and how long you're going to be on it, right?
Also, the impact of being on it. That is an important one they don't talk enough about. The long-term health
Exactly.
consequences potentially, which maybe are none, but
Yes.
you have to check.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, that's something to ask your doctor. It's not just about getting rid of the current symptoms that you're uncomfortable with right now.
Mhm.
It is about just like these new GLP drugs for weight loss. There
Right,
is not, they're very exciting, but there's no data in terms of what does it do to you for years if you're on it.
right,
So HRT, there's creams, there's patches, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. There are natural remedies. I can't speak to being an expert on any of them. Do your research, go to your natural grocers or find someone who is trained. But there's a little bit of risk there just because of the fact that it's not a regulated industry. And so you may be buying black cohosh, but if you were to take it to an independent lab, does it have black cohosh in it
right. Who
or
knows?
enough that it makes a difference, right? So you kind of have to look at those things. Now, are there some things that we know from research that do help? Yes, an anti-inflammatory diet. Anti-inflammatory. So what does that mean? It means staying away from or at least minimizing processed foods.
Right.
What are processed foods? It's white flour, white added sugar. It's the things that are so processed, like the yummy croissant or the white bread or the
Mhm.
brownie, that once it hits your gut, it's already been processed. Like the flour has been processed enough that there's no wheat germ to it anymore. And so your body doesn't have to work that hard to break it down. So it gets broken down into glucose like that. You hit that blood sugar spike, and then you subsequently hit a crash, which keeps you on the craving train. And this is honestly, sugar and processed foods are the things that really impact our weight gain,
Right.
particularly in menopause. And I will also say, and I know I'm going to get egged for this, alcohol.
Sure.
Wine is wonderful. How much are you having? And here's the challenge with that. Wine is just, I mean, all alcohol is just pure sugar. It's
Right.
pure sugar, number one. Alcohol is a sugar. Secondly, your liver has to process alcohol because it treats it like a toxin. And your liver's number one job is burning fat. So if you're out drinking right up until the time you go to bed, your liver overnight, the liver's job is to, okay, we're going to sweep up the after party and we're going to burn the excess fat stores. But if you have alcohol in your system, it's like the janitor comes in to clean up the party, but the party's still going on. And so it can't do its job.
Right.
So yes, I enjoy a glass of wine every once in a while, but I will tell you from personal experience, at least for me, wine drinking is the quickest way for me to put on weight. And it's also inflammatory. So you got to be careful about that. So looking at your diet, you can manage so many things from the quality of your diet. Fruits and vegetables, and in particular, fiber. This is the big new buzzword now. Fiber, fiber, fiber. Women should be getting a minimum of 25 grams a day. 25 grams. So do an experiment. And just, I know it'll be a pain in the butt for one day,
For one
but
day.
track what you're eating, look it up, and see how much fiber you're getting. On average, most women are only getting about 12 grams of fiber. So your highest sources of fiber: nuts, seeds, beans, good old fashioned beans. And don't get me started on the whole lectin thing. That's as far as I'm concerned, as a trained health coach and master's in health promotion and in this industry, that is BS. It is BS. Okay. Do they have lectins? Yes. Are they a danger? No.
Explain to
They're not.
people what they mean by lectins.
So lectins are just these proteins in beans that irritate the gut. Okay. And there's been some talk about how it can create this leaky gut syndrome. I'm going to stick my neck out here on the chopping block a little bit. I'm not entirely sure that all of like okay, so if you have celiac, if you have IBS, that's a whole different ball of wax. I'm not
Right.
talking about you guys, okay?
Go over
But
here.
right, you go over here on this side. You guys get a special pass. But for the most of us, our bodies are miraculous. They are designed to digest all kinds of foods, including beans. Like the blue zones, the cultures across the world who have the highest percentage of people who live to be 100 or more
Mhm.
without chronic diseases
Right.
eat beans daily,
Every day.
daily.
I love
And they
my,
do not have digestive issues. I think, honestly, that our digestion, if we're getting lots of issues from our digestion, that is because of potentially some disordered eating and or eating too much processed food. We have damaged our own gastrointestinal system because we're giving it food that is digested easily, right? Smoothies. Look, I love a good smoothie, but if you're having that every day for breakfast and lunch, even, that is a processed food because you have basically liquefied your diet. Your gut does not have to do any work to digest it. And when you take the work out from the gut, then it's going to get weaker.
right. It's not
It's going to
working
get
as
weaker.
effectively.
It's not working as effectively. It's expecting to get easily digestible food. You throw a stalk of broccoli in there, and oh, God, that's going to not feel comfortable. What is going on here? You just gave us an entire tree to try and break down. We're used to liquid. What's going on?
Mhm.
You know? So I think that there's something to be said for there is a way to heal your gut with natural foods. Uh, so I mean, get with your natural, again, your certified nutrition therapists, your dietitians. It's in my opinion, from what I've seen from my coaching practices, it's a rare situation that someone has to take out beans 100% or can't eat raw vegetables or whatever. I think it's just the fact that you're going to have a little gas. Okay, that's natural. There's nothing wrong
Happens.
with that. Have some
Also,
gas.
I have found that that goes away.
Oh yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
seem to experience that like I did when I went vegan multiple years ago.
Right. I mean, I will experience it, but it's again, it's like I had beans, I had cauliflower, big deal.
Right. It's delicious.
It's not like it's a 24/7 experience. And I mean, so the fiber lowers your cholesterol. There's so many benefits. Fiber lowers your cholesterol. It makes you feel fuller longer, so you won't eat as much. So it's a natural appetite suppressant. Okay. It is so healthy for your gut and your colon. Biggest thing you can do to prevent colon cancer.
Mhm.
Avoid some meat, cut back on the meat, and eat more beans,
Flushed with
nuts,
fiber.
seeds. Yeah. Vegetables. You cannot go wrong with as many vegetables as you like. Fresh fruits. I'm here to tell you, sugar is not the enemy, it's white sugar
Mhm.
added into all of your things.
A good
Yes.
friend of mine constantly says anytime someone tries to sell you a diet where you have to cut out entire food groups,
Mhm.
vegetables or fruit, that is
Yeah.
not healthy. There's just no way that can
No,
be healthy. And I have always
it's
been
not.
like, yeah, that makes sense to me. I want to talk about the blue zones just for a minute with you though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Dan, what's his name? Dan,
Yeah.
thank you,
Mhm.
Buettner. So I have also watched the show. I find it fascinating to talk about countries or areas of the world where they have the largest population of centenarians. So people who live to be 100 or
Yes,
more. And they're actually really healthy. So if you get a chance, watch it. It's a great show. But
it
the one
is. It's on
one
Netflix.
It is on Netflix. One of the things that I find fascinating about this is when he was kind of showing you all the folks, they did not do the crazy things that we do in America because we do everything intensely. So they're not hardcore working out, they're not hardcore, dieting, whatever. They do normal things. So they have not lost their ability, they're flexible. They walk up to a lot, they garden, they mow the lawn, they clean, they shovel or sweep. So the thing that they talked about is that, and I agree with, is the more it's a use it or lose it prospect. You talk about your parents and having stairs in their house. And
Yes.
when stairs become a fall risk, that's when it might be time to move away from stairs. However,
Sure.
until that happens, having like taking the stairs literally is just so healthy for us. I take the stairs, I hate it. My lungs are, I don't have great lungs. I had an infection when I was a kid anyway, long-term damage. So I pant like a crazy woman when I come up the stairs. So I make myself at work go to the bathroom in the basement and then walk back up the stairs, and then I'm like and no one can talk to me for 5 minutes while I stop panting. Don't worry about that.
Get oxygen.
Right. Let me just breathe. I'm going to yawn a lot too. But yeah, so I found it fascinating that they don't have this culture of anti-aging. What they have is a culture in most of these places of being very natural. Like when they talked in, was it Sicily or some part of Italy had a group of centenarians, and most of them still walked. They ate all the olive oil they wanted. They ate cheese. They ate bread, but it was fresh bread, not made from, the Wonder Company, which has delightful bread. I'm not talking trash about it. But it wasn't this processed. It was like this fresh
Yeah.
bread that someone made, and it like and they walked to the bakery to get it. And it was so fascinating to me that these folks who were 100, they still did tasks. They still, many of them,
They
they
cook
did
their
talk
own
about
meals.
retirement.
They iron.
Right.
They do all of these. They are so active. We live in a culture where the convenience has engineered out a lot of effort,
Right.
and they don't in a lot of these cultures. So yeah, they're very active,
Mhm.
um, walking up hills, walking
Yes.
upstairs. They're very independent.
Mhm.
Um, and 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 I think the other piece to put in there too is that yes, they're eating bread and cheese and everything like that, and a lot of that is homemade.
Mhm.
And and because these areas are in Europe and some other areas around the world, they don't have the pesticide use that we have.
Yep.
And so I do want to say that I totally get it's such a racket that organic wheat and organic bread is as expensive as it is.
Mhm.
But if there's one thing you can get that's organic, do your breads. If you're going
Mhm.
to have breads,
Dave makes
whole
some
grain
killer
breads.
seeded breads. Love them.
Yes.
Also, I get
Yeah.
fresh New Pie bread all the time.
Mm,
I love their
yeah.
bread.
There's at the Hy-Vee in Marion. I don't know who the baker is there, but they make these amazing, beautiful artisan loaves of bread, and they have the most incredible San Francisco sourdough.
Oh,
Oh, so
yum.
good, which
Sourdough is
has the
so good.
beneficial bacteria in them,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is good for you.
Yes.
Oftentimes, people can digest sourdough better than they can gluten if they have gluten issues. But yeah, so to your point, they're active. They
Yes.
are living as close to nature as possible with regards to their diet. They're not eating processed foods.
Yes. They seem
Um,
to not live
right.
alone. Like they might live
Yes,
alone in their
community is
house,
a huge thing. Mhm.
but they seem to either live with family
Mhm.
or they live in a community, which we
Yes,
don't really
that's a
have here,
huge. No, we've gotten away from that. I think we've
right?
gotten away from that. And I get it. I get where some of that may be coming from is because we have a lot more chronic disease.
Mhm.
And that, of course, is shortening our health span. And so our aging parents may need more nursing care than
Right.
we're able to give them
Right.
in order to keep them semi-independent. And so that's part of the challenge, I think, is that because of some of our agricultural practices, our lifestyle practices, we have a higher incidence of chronic disease in this
Right.
country. We have, with all of our processed food, and let's talk about drinks, sugary drinks,
Oh.
so inflammatory,
Mhm.
that there's little things that we can do with our diet that can have huge returns
Mhm.
and keep us independent and active and feeling good in our bodies for long periods of time.
Right.
So it's yeah.
Don't be
What
afraid
else to
to
say about that?
age.
Don't be afraid to age,
Don't be
but
afraid to
there's
age.
yeah, but there's absolutely things you can do to help you to have a vital
Mhm.
third act,
Right. Yes.
physically, emotionally, mental.
Mhm.
It does start with diet. It does start with community. If you haven't read the Blue Zones or seen the Blue Zones documentary, highly, highly recommend it
Mhm.
because he looks at these 9 different places, I think it is, across the world. One of them is in California, and looked at these common denominators.
Right.
And they're very easy lifestyle behaviors that we can do to create healthy aging. But
Right.
I mean, of course, I'm a foodie, so I'm very much plugged
Me
into,
too.
let's make sure that we're getting plenty of fiber and healthy fats.
Yes.
Fiber, 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 fiber. Everybody's afraid of, like, oh, nuts and seeds, they're high in calories and fat. Yes, they are, and they're supposed to be because they're supposed to help mitigate your blood sugar,
Right.
right? They're
Also, they're hard.
important.
They make your body work. They
Mhm.
make your body work to break them down. So
Yeah.
they last
Here's a
longer.
fun fact that I learned. So interesting to me. So, in doing some research, I'm currently teaching a weight loss program right now, and there's a lot of women in there who are middle aged that are, they're struggling and they're wanting to lose weight. And so I felt it was really important to do a PSA about these weight loss drugs. Now, granted, they're so stupid expensive that many of us would not be able to afford them, and insurance companies are like, we're not going to pay for it. So it's not likely that many of us are going to have access to that. I mean, I want to say it's like $11,000 a month for a weekly
They're
injection.
they're pretty pricey.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're called GLP drugs or GLP mimicking drugs. GLP stands for glucagon like peptide, and it is a substance that it triggers your pancreas to release insulin so that insulin can take the sugar that's in your blood, the glucose, and put it into the cells to be burned for energy, right?
Right.
It reduces blood sugar, which is why it's gotten a lot of press with diabetes. But it has an impact on the brain because it reduces the addictive nature of our brains, right? And so a lot of people report, I mean, it's got some really wicked side effects: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, all kinds of cramping. But it also, um, it has, a lot of people have reported it took away the enjoyment of food. It took away their
Oh,
appetite.
that's
And
sad.
so you would think that that's a good thing if you're trying to lose weight. Oh, I need an appetite suppressant. But if you're taking it for a long period of time, that can really be detrimental. And so they found that they don't have a lot of long-term results. They do know that it increases risk of thyroid cancer, and they do strongly believe that it's going to disrupt your gut microbiome, but they don't have a lot of information on that yet. So yes, has it been, these drugs have been able to, across the studies, affect 15% weight loss or more. However, unfortunately, once you stop taking the drug, you gain the weight back because all of those things that were stopping, like you don't have anything, the insulin is going to be at the normal level
Right.
It's not going to be at the supercharged level. So it's going to be at the normal level, and the addictive centers of your brain are now no longer calmed down. And so it's very easy to put the weight back on. So that's one of the biggest things. Now, what I'm getting to is that there is also some research about the fact that so GLP we naturally produce, okay, and we can produce more of it with chewing. Chewing your food thoroughly releases GLP.
You
And they
remember
have
when
found in the research that if you chew your food thoroughly and you have enough fiber, you can get the exact same weight loss results as the drugs.
I just want to stop for a minute and say anyone who is my age or older absolutely should remember that once upon a time we were told to chew 100 times on each side of your mouth. And maybe
Right?
we didn't know why we were supposed to do that, but we were.
Yes. It's, I mean, outside of the GLP, digestion starts in your mouth from the enzymes in the saliva, and your teeth help to break down the food. Why are you having gastrointestinal distress if you're having beans and broccoli? Probably because you're inhaling it and you're not chewing it
Don't call
and
me out.
breaking it down sufficiently so that when it hits your gut, it doesn't bother you so bad,
Right.
right? You have to chew so thoroughly. And so it's just fascinating to me that we're looking for the bullet, the silver bullet, but the silver bullet's right here. We
Always
can
had it.
impact that. Yeah. So
Always had it.
I'm a big proponent of do your own research. I mean, this is stuff that I've learned through the career of my job. This is what I do is teach people how to be healthier in diet and exercise and
Mhm.
stress management. Do your research because you will find that the answer continues to come back to the simplest things you can do.
Right.
Get natural food. Try to avoid the processed stuff as much as possible because you want to reduce inflammation. That's inflammation has been the thing that actually they've said accelerates aging on all
Right.
levels. Inflammation is responsible for is a precursor to Alzheimer's, which is often dubbed type 3 diabetes. It increases your blood pressure. It increases, inflammation in your blood vessels. It's it's inflammation everywhere. So the more that you can decrease inflammation, good quality water, stay hydrated, good quality food, it's amazing what you can do. Your own anti-aging, or more
Well,
accurately, aging healthfully.
yeah, and let me throw in there from an esthetician because I'm required to
Yes.
by law, I think. Uh is if you want to do the right thing for your body, for your skin, and for your healthful glow and looks. Oh, it's stormy.
I'm a visitor.
Uh
Yes.
if you want to do those things, here's the things I have told my children since the beginning of time. Number one, drink all the water you can. Like you just drink a lot of water.
Mhm.
Replace all your sugary sodas with water. I drink coffee in the morning. I've cut out all of the creamers except for and when I say a tiny splash, I mean a splash. Um, and my hot flashes are just not what they used to be. Also, I have 1 cup in the morning, which is actually 2 cups because it's a big cup, but instead of 4 cups all day long. So I've cut back on caffeine. So cut back on caffeine, drink all the water you possibly can, eat
Mhm.
well, rest well,
Mhm.
sunscreen. Let me say this
Yes.
again to you, sunscreen. Keep your skin out of the
Sunscreen.
sunshine.
Yep.
Absolutely. And moisturize. Like, here's the things. If you want to look eternally youthful and delightful as you age, these are the things that you should do from the time that you're little. Moisturize,
Yep.
stay out of the sun, or if you're going out, use literally reapply sunscreen. I just can't say how important that is. Make sure that you're drinking all of the water you can possibly drink without like overloading up, like eat food, but also drink
Yep.
water. And
Yep.
avoid
Yep.
pollutants. Don't smoke. Don't be in smoky polluted areas. Don't like try to take better care of yourself. Don't drink out of a straw. It makes you wrinkle around your lips. So
Well, you don't want to do straws anyway. It's bad for the.
it's bad for the environment. This is a twofold. This is twofold. We're
Yeah.
here to help the environment and you at the same time. So
Oh,
these are
yeah.
like,
I mean, no.
these are just the
Yeah.
things like, if you
Right.
want to age gracefully and beautifully and embrace your crone years, which I love, by the way. Like I keep telling my family I love being a grandma. Being a grandma is the greatest thing ever. Yeah, it sucked that I had to raise kids to get here because they were a bit of a pain in my rear. I love them, but they were a pain. But grandkids are just pure joy because typically they just come and visit and then they just go away, and I just get to cheer for them and I don't have to deal with all their drama usually. So and that's lovely.
Yeah.
But being like, there's just wisdom. I have this freedom. I'm going, like, I take trips. I climbed a mountain, and by a mountain I just really mean Dinosaur Ridge, but I did it twice this year.
That's a big, I know what that one, that
It was so
is. Yeah.
fun. It was so delightful. But I literally, like, I have started doing things at this age that I never did when I was younger and busy with kids and whatever. And I absolutely feel so good mentally and physically and spiritually
Yeah.
as just a human being. And I love it. I love it. I think it's
Yeah.
so important. So
So
gray
the
hair.
point is that it actually can get even better.
Yes.
And I know we're about at our hour,
Mhm.
and I don't want to give too much airtime to this, but I will just say sex can be better too as you get older. And
Oh,
that's a whole nother podcast. I don't know if we'll delve into that, but I'm just saying,
that'll be the
talk,
X-rated podcast.
yeah. But I mean, the whole point is everything can be better, or at least much better than you have concocted in your brain
Right.
about aging. But I love that those are some basic things. I knew about the sunscreen. I'm terrible about remembering it, which is why I have the tinted
Yes. SPF for
moisturizer, because
moisturizer.
it's got sunscreen in it,
Mhm.
and so, but also don't overwash your skin because you strip the natural oils. So
Yep.
that's another piece. But yeah, wear hats. I used
Yes.
to remember the day. Oh my gosh, wouldn't be caught dead in a hat. Are you kidding me? I want to bronze my face. And
Right.
now I'm paying for it. My décolletage
Just
is
ages.
showing its age because I don't need to wear sunscreen on my
Right.
chest.
I've been pasty white my whole life, and I just go from red to white. That's essentially the two shades I come in. Not like
Yeah.
my mom and sister who are golden and
Fear.
glorious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm red, I'm
Yeah.
white. That's it. And
Yeah.
so I definitely don't show the wrinkles on my skin quite like some of my friends, but I definitely grew up in the age of baby oil laying out.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, what were we thinking? We were
Right?
crazy,
Like just slather that chicken breast right on the grill,
right? No, we're
My
so
God.
yeah, don't do that. But
Yeah.
lotion, just keep yourself hydrated, be kind to
Yeah.
yourself, and also
Hydration, lotion.
just love yourself regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say sugar also. Limiting your sugar, particularly white sugar, that has been a huge improvement in my own skin.
Mhm.
Now, I do like sugar every once in a while, but I notice when I have it
Mhm.
because my face will break out at 53 and it dries up a little bit. And so, yeah, so there's lots of things you can do naturally that are easy, that they're less expensive. And the bottom line to your point is these are all practices that nourish you, nourish your self love. It's like taking care of your temple. And sure, you can do that with plastic surgery and injectables and all kinds of other things. And if that's the way you want to go, that's great. But at some point, I just want to continue to lift up women who don't have access to that, don't want to do that, that beauty is yours no matter what you do.
Yep.
You do not need to do all of those things. Your aging, your presence here, your wisdom here is beauty incarnate.
Mhm.
So stop beating yourself up. Sorry, I got cat hair all over my face now.
What happened?
Uh, but really embrace who you are. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. You are a beautiful, powerful woman.
Mhm.
So, and the second half of life, this third act of life, can be your best yet.
Magic.
So, all right, I could talk for hours on this subject because I'm pretty passionate about it right now, but we will leave and we will come back another time and
Yes.
revisit this. I'm glad we had this discussion.
Me too. And please remember, it's all about living. So dying
Mm.
in and of itself is really an informed way that we have lived to get us there. So
Yes,
it's impactful and important. Also,
yes.
just want you to look like a real human when you die. So, and not just a bunch of plastic pieces. I don't want Barbie pieces in your casket, but that's fine.
Well, and it's a shell, right? Spiritually speaking, this is a shell for our soul. So you're gonna discard it.
Mhm.
You're gonna discard it at some point. So how much investing do you want to do from unnatural sources versus natural sources, whatever? At some level, just do what nurtures you physically, emotionally, and spiritually because you glow from the inside out. So yeah, and don't give in to the cultural messaging.
Right.
Just don't. Please don't keep that going. Yeah. Let your gray hair down. Let's do it. All right, friends, we will come back and have more conversation about death, dying, life, living, second acts, all of these things, because we really want people to know how sacred their lives are and sacred their death can be.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you, my friend. Great conversation.
Wonderful talking to you as always.
Yes. And we will see you guys next time on another edition of Dying Out
Wow.
Loud. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
friends.